It is another edition of
Talk on
Interludes.
Tuesdays.
That's right. Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. And Coach Tony, oh my gosh, my bracket is busted.
Again, Val, for promotional purposes, you didn't go to class.
I didn't go to class, Coach. I don't know what happened,
I
man. I
told
don't
you.
know.
Matter of fact, next year when you're in class, I'm gonna need you to sit in the front row. Okay? I'm gonna
Okay.
need you to sit in the front row because I gave promotional purposes only, and Coach Tony bracket is rolling right now.
Oh my gosh.
All the
And we're going
all
to
the
find
number
out if
one,
your
the number
brackets are
two.
busted as well. And of course,
Woo.
we are going to be talking Shirley and CJ. It's another edition of Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesday. It's time to get rolling. Let's go.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Another edition of Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. Of course, that's one of our affiliate sponsors, KeySpot. If you'd like to go ahead and become a member of the KeySpot community and network your business, go ahead and do that as well. And of course, you know, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I got this book out. I'm all excited about it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Now, I know you were like, wait, it was coming on March 5th. Well, now we've moved it up to my birth month, April 5th.
There you go. There you go.
DJ saved my life. It's coming. And go ahead. If you'd like to go ahead and scan the QR code and check it out and pick up a copy of the ebook. And when it's released, you'll know all about it. And of course, our podcasting community over on Patreon. Go ahead and join our community via Patreon today, where you get some behind the scenes. Like we had some fun behind the scenes that just happened with our guests that we have for tonight. But my gosh, come on by and enjoy us here on Interludes. It's patreon.com/interludes. Coach. Let's see who's in the building. Go ahead and
Iris in the building. She's saying she's excited for the interview. What's up, girl? Way to check in. You're on one of the hottest podcasts that you can be on tonight, baby.
and Miros, who you see in the audience, is the reason why I even know about our guest for tonight. So I'm so excited to go ahead and have a live conversation, a face-to-face conversation, because we were on this little contraption called a cell phone via
Correct.
Clubhouse. Yeah, it's cute, but I'd like to be able to see you talk. So thank you so very much. And I see King Wise in the building. Thank you so very much.
My man, King Wise. What's up, baby?
Yeah. And thank you so much. It's Mr. Springer. Of course, he's putting up information about our DJ Save my life, not your life, but my life. Oh my gosh.
Don't be trying to act like it say your life, it say Val life. Don't be trying to take none of that.
Oh my gosh. Before we jump into the fun stuff for tonight, I do want to mention, and I did hear about this because I have friends in Baltimore as well as other friends in and around the Maryland area. There was a very serious collapse that happened. Yeah, an accident about 1 o'clock this morning before day. There was a cargo ship. It was a cargo ship that was traveling, had just left the dock. And unfortunately, it hit according to New York Times, a federal investigation said they're beginning to do what could be a long search for answers regarding a massive cargo ship that struck a major bridge. And this is called the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
One of the major bridges in there. And what they say, Val, is that the barge, when it left the ship, it lost electrical power. So
Right.
it didn't have the ability to steer, and based on the current of the water, pushed it into the bridge.
Yeah. So there were a couple of construction workers, according to the New York Times, that were working. And also, so now they're saying that there's so much debris from the bridge that it's going to take them a long time to try to see and find survivors. But they did say they got a message to where they were able to stop traffic from going over that bridge. I've gone over that bridge, Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it bothers me that, if they lost power, how come they couldn't have steered it in a different direction, or to where it wouldn't have? Because that entire bridge, it was a film. Somebody was filming it, but I feel like it was. You know how they have cameras on the port, and they're just filming because they're filming. And so for everyone that's been affected by this, our thoughts and prayers go out to people that are affected by this. And I wanted to kind of start on that note, just to say we see it, we heard it, and because I got love for the East Coast, and be more stand up.
Yeah, I got my family out there, in East Marlboro, and my cousins out there, the Pentagon, and all that. But as I'm listening to CNN on it, Val, basically there was someone who actually asked that question that you just asked, and
Right.
the way that they explained it was that the riptides and the current pushed so hard, and the ship is sitting at dock, right there in Baltimore, where that dock is off. And when the barge,
the port of Baltimore, I think that's what they call it.
yeah. And so with the currents and all that, you can steer all you want, but if that current is pushing the butt of it or the front of it or whatever, you can try to steer it as much as you could away from it, but without having engine and without having the ability to really steer and drive, you just hopefully that you can turn the boat or the vessel, to the point where you can hopefully get the water to push it away. And unfortunately, the backside of the vessel is the way actually hit it. And
right. Yeah.
And I watched that thing come down on the news. It was, that whole thing just collapsed.
Yeah. And so like I said, we'll be praying and thinking and having positive thoughts. And like I said, this is because I've been through Baltimore. I was not necessarily, Baltimore was not the destination. I was trying to go to Virginia Beach, but one of the major expressways was affected by the collapse of that bridge. And like I said, it frightens me. As much as I love traveling and driving and all the rest of that, when I see something like that, it messes me up internally. So I saw it. It was mentioned on a show I do in the mornings, and I didn't realize the severity of what we were talking about this morning until I actually digged and did the research. But I just wanted to just mention that, Coach. And so,
well,
yeah.
Man, we always got to. And by the way, thanks for checking in, Bella, baby, Bella. Thanks for checking in tonight,
and
Miss
Bella's from Baltimore.
Oh man, you.
Yeah.
So that's definitely personal for you on that point, though. Yeah. So
very much so.
My Kim folks are from B-More as well, so
So we're doing a hard pivot. This is gonna hurt, but I'm gonna do a hard pivot. Regina King.
My girl,
I got a chance over the weekend. Yes, from 227. Got a chance to see the film Shirley. Woohoo!
I like
what
it.
An education.
You had me arguing with people the last couple of days. I'm just telling you.
And so Shirley Chisholm, I did not know, was the one of the few women who was elected to Congress.
Yep.
I realized as we were talking about this yesterday, she made $42,500, right?
42.5.
42.5. That's how much she made. And that was such a good scene. But when they were giving the dates, and I thought it was a good time, they started the film right when she got elected to Congress.
Yep.
And Regina, I'm telling you, the look, I mean, that's Shirley in the black and white, the real Shirley, and to the left or your right, that's Regina King. I'm thinking they matched the costume designer, the glasses, the jewelry, everything,
and including her
yes.
voice. I mean, her voice is that. The only thing from the movie that I wish the character that they would have probably brought alive a little more. I wish they could have went from the East Coast to the West Coast. Obviously, she represented Brooklyn, but I wish they would have went to Los Angeles as well and got my girl Maxine Waters.
Yeah, and well, you know what? I think the main focus of Shirley was the historic run for president, and she was the first woman and the first African American to run, to have it and to be seriously considered. And this all started to happen in, I want to say, mid to late 1971 to
1972.
To 1972. And one of the people that was in the film, Lance Riddick, excellent actor. Unfortunately, we lost him exactly a year ago today.
Yep.
Did an excellent job in the film. And of course, John Ridley directed this film. And so I have to say, and another thing that I was very happy to see was my boy Terrence Howard.
Yeah, he picked up a little weight, but he looked good.
Yes.
He was typical Terrence.
And I didn't know that Shirley was Guyanese and Bahamian, I believe. Yeah.
Bahamian, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She had a good accent, and I was noticing Regina held on to that accent very, very tightly the whole thing. If you've seen the film Shirley on Netflix, which is currently streaming, let us know in the chat if you got a chance to go ahead and see it. Who is this? Lucas Hedges was in it as well. Christina Jackson, she did an excellent job as one of the folks. Barbara Lee, who I like when they have the film and then they show the real people at the end to say, okay, this is who people portrayed and everything. And of course, Regina produced this. She's one of the executive producers of this film, and she produced it with her sister, Rena King.
And I tell you what, it's amazing. I kind of switched to the trifecta, as I call it. One, you're talking about 1972, which we're just coming out, which a couple of things I learned. One, you and I were talking about, not only because I thought Jesse was the man when he did his run, but it ended up being Shirley. But we're also talking about at the time, first time in history, when the voting age went to 18 years of age. So that was also major. And, and that was huge. And then the other piece is that you're talking about on the backs, and when a lot of people won't tie this in together, and this was a beautiful movie about the Black Panthers, but it's coming off the back of 1968-69 when Chicago burned up during the Democratic Convention with the Black Panthers and Huey Newton and the guys. So you're coming off the back of that, going into Shirley deciding to run for presidency, and the opportunity that you got a Democratic caucus that she's trying to put behind her, and then they just pretty much slapped her in the face.
One of the things, she went to see George Wallace. Now, a lot of people are
conversation.
Exactly. That's a whole nother conversation. But she went to see him. He got injured. He was in the hospital. Now, this was the former Alabama governor who Make America Great Again. That was a tagline from who's running for office, and whose name I just will not mention, Trump. But that thought process of Make America Great Again, I came from George Wallace.
Exactly right, and it was rough. I speak for my kinfolks that's in Alabama during that time, and as a little kid, and my mom been able to send me from Chicago to Alabama to keep out of the gang violence as a child. Got an opportunity, Val, to witness that during the time that
Mhm.
Governor Wallace was there. And Alabama wasn't a joke. As much as we want to think about it, we're talking about not the red South, we're talking about the deep red South.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something on the other side of the path as a college coach. To this day, it's 2024, and we go down and play Wallace College. It's still
Wow.
in the deep section of Alabama, and they are still sundown towns, believe it or not,
What does that
around,
mean? That means you have to be in by sundown?
meaning that there are houses and people that have print that blacks need to be out of the town by sundown.
No. Okay.
And we're in 2024. So to see this movie and to see Shirley Chisholm in the portrayal of what she's trying to portray, um, and get that position, and it was amazing because of the work she did. And I tell you what was more amazing than anything to me, Val, was that she
Mhm.
brings on a white college student to run everything for her. That was a
Yeah.
very smart move because we're talking about early 70s. So if you send this white gentleman out, they would have no idea that the candidate is black until he got a chance to go to Florida, and they marked that box up very well for him.
Yeah, and just kind of the struggles of getting delegates when that was the struggle for her to try to get her delegates, and then someone that had been kind of in her corner ended up, you guys will see the film,
Jumping ship.
jumping ship and then going with another person and throwing their support behind someone else because they're like, you can't win. And
Right.
so
In the
I
hood,
think
we call
about
them a sellout.
so like I said, I was really John Ridley directed this film, and like I said, just wonderful, brilliant performances. Brian Stokes Mitchell, of course, Terrence Howard. As I mentioned, this was one of the last for Lance Riddick. And then Charlene Willis, Brad James, who played Huey Newton, and of course, Amara Vaughn. She played a very beautiful, glamorous Diane Carroll. Wasn't that a beautiful
Oh my goodness. I mean,
exchange between the two?
yes. Yeah. And you just
Mhm,
took the comment out of my mouth. I was about to ask you, out of the
mhm.
movie, what was one particular scene or something that really stood out to you and why? And I love that because you're talking about one of the most gorgeous actresses in
Mhm.
Diane Carroll at the time, and then singer, and then you got Diana Ross at the time doing her thing in the '70s was huge for obviously with R&B coming away from rock and roll in the '60s. So and what
Right.
was amazed that she was representing Brooklyn, New York, BK Stand Up, and she was still being treated the way she was. You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah.
but I liked how she never faltered. Even when she said, oh, something, I know when I'm beat, I'm gonna take a step backwards. She still stayed with her head up high, and no matter what. And I really loved it, Val, that scene where she was in there interviewing and everybody in the house. They started asking about what's your opinion on busing, what's your opinion on pregnancy, what's your opinion on this and that, and the Black Panthers, and she gave it to them straight. And George Wallace, he couldn't say nothing about it. He said, at least I'm running against a candidate, no matter if she's in the South, the North, the East, or the West. Her message is exactly the same. She don't steer, she don't change it.
Right. I want to say at one point, how many women were in Congress? It was under 9.
Yeah, I think it was like 6, wasn't it, at that
6
time? There's only 6 Black women in Congress at that time.
women,
Women.
and Shirley was the only one of color.
Yep, she was
Yeah.
head
Mhm.
above everybody.
Right. So, the one thing I will say is I was impressed with how Regina portrayed Shirley with a lot of heart. I could tell that she maintained her accent. That's very hard to do. I was like, okay, am I going to hear her natural American accent? No, she held on to it real tightly. And of course, one of my favorite scenes, like you, was her kind of challenging the other congressman, and they were talking about that salary. Remember you said that I make 42.
Hey, she told me, man, look, I'm getting the same paper you get. So tomorrow, why don't you show up and give me another conversation? I don't show up at all. My man
exactly.
Had to step. And she should have hit it with the more launch. Now get to stepping.
So guys, if you've seen Shirley, let us know in the chat. But if you want to see Shirley, please go check it out. It is streaming currently on Netflix, directed by John Ridley and starring and executive produced by Regina King. One thing that I didn't know about her was that Shirley Chisholm was a teacher. I didn't know she was a school teacher.
Hey, again, we always teaching. And speaking of teaching, my girl Lakeisha, what's up? Way to check in on Interludes Talk on Tuesday with your homeboy Coach Tony and my girl Val, the voice. Appreciate you, Keisha.
Oh, so good that you're here. Good to see you. And of course, thank you so much for asking that question, Mr. Springer. Back during Black History Month, I host a show in the mornings called House of Creativity. I do their business tips and tricks on Tuesday, and then of course their motivational Mondays, and that's the show that streams video via audio on Clubhouse. And Mitos, who is in the audience listening lounge right now, introduced to me a very talented LA-based children's author and a bilingual phenom. She's been promoting this wonderful, beautiful book called My Mother is a Superhero. How many people want to think about their moms being a superhero? My mama was a superhero. I don't know about nobody else. My mama was a superhero. How about you, Coach?
My mama's still wearing a cape.
That's what I'm talking about.
I can pick the phone up right now and she put it on right now. What you want?
Oh my gosh. Well, she is one of the talented teachers out of California, and we want to welcome her to the Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesdays platform, live from LA. It is CJ Charles. Hey, girl, how you?
CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I gotta hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, but please, but I'm trying to, I'm authoring right now. You guys are funny.
Well, yeah, that's what we do. It is my goal to make people smile and laugh. CJ, since we last spoke, which has been about a little over a month, how have you been? What has been going on with you and the book?
So I've been great. Thank you so much for having me one more time. I so appreciate that. Nice to meet you, Coach, officially. Yes. Just been busy, always promoting, always working, always out here with this brand. What's up, Mitos? How are you, girl? Thank you so much. So we just wrapped up Black Children's Book Week. So that was absolutely fantastic to work with 7 other African-American authors here in Los Angeles. Our LA people, our family showed up and they showed out for us, and they came and we signed books and we took lots of pictures with lots of kids and we all read our books. It was a really great, it was a really wonderful experience. So.
Wow.
That's awesome. Let me ask you a question, CJ. Lately, it seems to be the thing to do. I watched Steph Curry talked about it on CBS this morning. He's on his second book. First one was called I Am Steph, and then the second book was based on a young lady who's a character who has a hearing problem with an earpiece, and she's been made fun of and all that. So when you sit down and you've been over this time frame, kind of walk us through the process of, one, what gave you that idea to write a children's book, and 2, the process of going about it? Because it's not just you write a book and you put it out and you think it's easy. It takes a process to get this done.
It's absolutely a process, and people are always surprised at how long it takes from idea to actual, I have a book, a product in my hand. So I wrote the book. One, I love superheroes. I've been a fan of Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman. I grew up in the 80s, so Wonder Woman, I watched Linda Carter spin into. That's how old I am. I watched her every Saturday. Yeah, like I thought she was cool, and so for me it was natural. You know, I'm a fan of Storm, X-Men. That's me all day. I'm a huge fan of comic books. So I've always wanted to write a book. It wasn't until I was in my graduate program, in the credentialing program for teaching, that we took a class, and it actually was how to write your own book. And so a component of that class was how to write your own children's book. And I just sat and listened to what the professor had to say, and I was thinking to myself, I can do that. I've been writing since, first, second, third grade. So actually, I just took the notes and the pointers that she gave us, along with some stuff I had already started writing out myself. I wrote about 8 different versions of the book before we, this is so funny, before I finished it all. But once I sat and committed to, getting a version that I liked, that rhymed, then from there, it went to the editors. So I have an editor in English and Spanish. So they check over my work. You have to have a professional editor, regardless of how, I sent it out to all the homies, of course, but they can't edit it properly.
Hey, should have sent it to me. I need to laugh for editor. I'm going to get you right.
I appreciate it. For the future reference, I got you. Once it comes back from the editors, then you send it over to your illustrator. And so when you send it to the illustrator, you need to have all of the art directions, exactly what you want to see, very descriptive for each page. They will take care of it from there. So you can either, after the illustrator, you can then go to a book formatter if you want to, which means they're going to put the copyright page, all that stuff on there if you want to. I'm blessed that my illustrator is a formatter and an illustrator in one. So she was a one-stop shop, and she's in the Philippines. So she did all that. Yeah. So it's taken us about 2 years for each book from start to finish.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And do you have an artistic hand? Because I'm assuming that inside the book itself, there are probably cartoons or something that you meant about the illustrator and all that. You kind of dictate how you want the story to flow, and she's kind of the one who's drawing the pictures and stuff?
Absolutely. So I send her pictures of myself as a little girl. I sent her cartoon inspirations from the 80s, who I've always, loved. And like I said, I like Storm. So I kind of wanted my mother to kind of have a Storm. Storm has 2 different looks. One, she just has her straight hair when she's just, a regular person. But when she becomes Storm, her hair comes out, So I wanted to infuse some of those elements. So you'll see in the book, like the mom has a ponytail when she's a regular mother. When her daughter sees her hair is down. Sometimes it's flowing. So I tell her what I want to see, and she's so gifted. She puts it on paper and she brings it to life visually for me. So I'm blessed to have worked with her for 2 books so far.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and the two books we're looking at, Coach, there is My Mother is a Superhero. That's what kicked everything off. And then Miss April is a superhero. Like, what is the difference? What's up?
Right. Well, you're gonna make our girl April on the show. She's gonna think you're writing about her.
Everybody named April says that. They're always like, "Oh, you wrote me a book." I'm like, "It's for you, boo. It's for you."
Right, exactly, for you. What my 10%?
Yeah. So our 3rd book that we're working on right now was Her Father is a Superhero. A lot of people are asking me, is she a single mother? Where? Every time I read the book, little boys say, "Well, where's the dad?" And I'm like, "Okay, I hear you." I'm like, I don't want to give that perception, right? Because we know assume about us. So yeah, we're working on the dad book right this very moment.
So Justine is one of the main characters, Coach, in the series, and I love that. So this is some of her characteristics. What can you tell us about Justine?
So I love Justine. So Justine is myself. She's in the 1st grade. She loves to draw. She has a pet snake. His name is Dave. I wanted to give her a pet, but I didn't want to give her a dog, right? I wanted to give her something that's crazy. I didn't want to give her a fish.
That's definitely crazy.
So she has a pet snake. Dave is her homie. She does not like bedtime. She thinks that there are crazy things happening in her closet. Her favorite colors are blue and pink, and she loves bothering her older sister.
Man, you sure this ain't my granddaughter Skylar?
Well, I hope Skylar sees herself in Justine. That's what I know.
That's why I'm trying to get this book. I know she's watching tonight. She probably like, Papa, that's me right there. She writing about me.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, well, I mean, you know what the beauty of it is, when we're out and vending and I'm doing book signings and many people, there's so many little girls, usually little girls that look like me, right? That look like us. But I notice more than anything, I'm starting to get little girls of all ethnicities coming over and saying to me, don't I look like her? I think I have, oh, that's my favorite color too. They're all starting to identify with her, which warms my heart because I wrote her to reflect my life. But just knowing that, you know, other little girls see themselves in her, it's really very rewarding, very refreshing.
And I feel like now I saw some, I was trying to grab the photos, but I saw some photos of you and I think your mom, and she was, and I saw you all had your t-shirts on, and I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book? Or these books.
She loved it. People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. I'm like, oh, my bad. I'm like, hold on, let me take that for you. Hold on. It's, you know, it's my, I call it my love letter to my mother. I just want to tell her thank you in the biggest way possible. People, we look alike, obviously, especially when I put my glasses on. I'm a mini her. So I'm looking forward to getting older. But she couldn't be more proud. You know, I just wanted to validate her experience as a single mother in Los Angeles. You know, you grow up, a lot of people have stigma. You know, one, you live in the hood, and two, you know, your father's not there for the moment or whatever it may be, and people assume, you know, there's a deficit with your mom or whatever parent is still there, and that wasn't the case. I wanted to, you know, my sister and I, we just wanted to let her know that we saw everything that she did. We saw every meal, every sacrifice that we could see. And we just wanted to say thank you. So I told her I commemorated her in a book. Don't nobody else have one. She gets to be unique and special. And, you know, we had to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginnings.
There you go.
So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol? Don't.
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's gonna set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my Lord, not my mama. Don't say my mama's alky. Not my mama. Not my mama now. Come on now. Give her a glass of water or 7-Up.
My bad. She'll get some water. But the question I got, that's funny you mentioned that, and I love it, is that the inspiration. I was going to ask you that, and you kind of alluded to it. You know, you write these children books because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked about. I thought about, you know, writing a book myself called My Man's in Them. But,
I love it.
You know, and look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in them. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. But the inspiration, so you're writing a book. You got now the second book release and all that. And it's kind of cool because it's a spin on you. Basically, you got an older version of you, then a younger version of you, all in the same book, and it's telling a story. So when you sit down and you're putting those baselines together and you're trying to find those funny things or those teachable moments, what are you thinking about as you write the book?
So my biggest thing as a teacher, I noticed that children today don't appreciate, and the gratitude and the appreciation it's missing. Not with every child, but most of the children I've come across. So 18 years of teaching, and I've seen a decline in appreciation, right? They don't appreciate the classroom supplies. They don't appreciate us. They don't appreciate very much. And so as I was writing the book, we were taught, my parents are both from the South. So we were taught, we have a New Orleans household in an LA setting. So we were taught very early, you know, if you want this, you need to appreciate it. You need to keep it clean. You need to keep it nice. You need to blah, blah, right? That's how I was raised. And so part of the lesson in the moral of our story, right? Any children's book has to have a moral, is that we want children to appreciate those superheroes in their lives on a daily basis. Those are caring, loving adults. So as I'm writing, it's easy for me to tell the story because it's my life, right? I'm just recounting stories that I already know. But then there's just certain themes that you want to make sure that I hit on, like appreciate that you have a home, appreciate that somebody cooked for you tonight, that they picked you up from school. Washed your clothes, cleaned up your backpack, cleaned your shoes, you know, things like that. So as I'm writing the books, I'm thinking about how can I show children to appreciate those things that they take for granted? You know, even having a teacher in the classroom. Some kids don't have a teacher in the classroom. Right. We used to, one of my favorite pictures right here that she captured so well. So we never had a new car. I only had, actually, it's on the
got a new car.
Yeah. You don't really need it. You know, as long as you're running, you good. But no, so we always had cars that were fifth hand, right? I don't even know where the cars come from, but they work. They always were in an accident or something. We always thought it was funny when they would backfire and if the oil is leaking and it's burning on the engine. We thought it was hysterical. We would peel out the cloud of smoke behind us. No smog check in the 80s, 90s. You don't need to do all that.
Wow.
But to us,
as long as you got to where you got to go, it is what it is.
we got to school every day, never absent, never late, but my mom would be embarrassed. And so as you can see in one of these pictures, I had her tape up the seats because we would have duct tape on the seats and the ceiling would come down. So you have to, duct tape it. I always thought it was funny, but my mother, she would be embarrassed. So I'm telling her ain't no shame. If you are a parent out there making it happen, there is no shame in how you're making it happen. Your kids are happy. They see you there. Your kids are like, wow, they don't know that you struggle to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
So, that's, I don't know. I love it. I love telling parents that we see you, we appreciate you. And I love that I'm able to share this with my mother in the second half of her life. It's really exciting. This is, this is an activity.
That's amazing.
And this is what I'm so, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, because in my mind, I see this as a cartoon series. I see this somewhere as a cartoon. Have you envisioned?
The future, please?
Yeah. Because
come on, Nickelodeon, Netflix, come on.
Nickelodeon, whomever, Disney Channel, whoever's going to take it on.
I'm going to need to be one of the characters if that's the case.
Because you my man's in them. We got to have my man's in them in the background.
Right. Because if you got the tape in the roof and you got the car and you got to pull up on the block, you be like, who's that? Oh, that's my man's in them.
Man's in them. I got you, Coach. You ain't got to say nothing but a word. I got you.
I see this is from CM. She's from our clubhouse situation. And she says, as a single parent, that's the absolute truth.
That's
You're
right.
Providing for folks.
You listen to CJ, I tell you, and you know where you can get your truth from?
Where?
Listening to athletes. When you listen to athletes that make it, the guys I talk to, I interview and whatnot. I had an interview with one of the parents, and she spoke about the investment, right? The taking the kid to the sports, to the AAU, spending the money in hotels, going across town for practices and traveling, this and that.
Yes.
The kid that recognizes the plight that his mother is doing at an early age and decide, this is what I want to do. When you go back and you look at from age 7, 8, 9, all the way to 18, 19 years old, if that child becomes a professional athlete, it's just a payback. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting my money back because you you still owe me, because if it wasn't for me taking off from work and doing things I wasn't doing, you wouldn't have been able to do it. So I love there you go. So again, that's why I love the realness of the book and how you put it, because the average Black family, let's say, for example, that's coming out of the hood, I can understand that duct tape. I understand the smoke. I understand the oil stains. I understand maybe 4 or 5 kids packed in the car, got to sit on somebody's lap. And then on the way home from school, we just picked up 2 new kids, ain't even yours. It's just people on the block. I get that.
That's the beauty of the Black community, though. Like, people hear me speak and they always assume that I'm from the suburbs. And I'm like, no, I'm from the hood, Normandy and Vernon in Los Angeles. Don't get it twisted. I know I talk like this. That's because we were made to speak this way. Can't talk crazy in the house. We're from the South. But it's just like, that's the beauty of our community. Like, it's nothing wrong with having that one cousin who know everybody, who know a guy who's gonna get it done, or the cousin who also lives in the burbs who can also get it done on paper. You need both sides of the community. You know what I'm saying? And there's no shame. There's no shame in raising your children and being honest with them. If you don't have it, then you have to tell. My mother always kept it real with us, maybe a little too real sometimes, but we knew when payday was. We knew when she had it. We knew when she didn't have it. I wear glasses, and so when she said, "These is your glasses for the next X amount of years," okay, thank you. Never lose them. I won't break them. They go in my pencil case with the clip in my backpack. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to. I think that's one of the challenges of modern parenting is that people don't want to be honest with their kid. They don't want to stress them out. You don't want to burden them. I didn't feel stressed or burdened. I knew how much the groceries cost. I know how that gave me confidence as a child. It made me comfortable.
Exactly. And you already knew what was going on. I mean, I think your mom was probably related to me because I'm telling you, my kids, my son say, I don't even ask dad for nothing because I know the first thing out of his mouth is the word no. And they go ask their mom and they'll get in. Now, if they get in a pinch or a bind, I got you. But, I'm that, hey, listen, CJ, we about to pull up to this store. You're going to go in with 3 rules. Don't ask for nothing. Don't touch nothing. And you ain't getting nothing. Now, if you understand, and by the way, if you run over my heel with that cart, it's on and popping. If you understand those rules, we can go shopping every day.
But that's the way to go. Don't touch it. You ain't about to get it. Don't even ask for it. Don't even desire it because the answer is no.
As a Black kid growing up in that part of California, coming in the Compton area, coming in doing things, and you don't, one thing that's unique about us as a people is we, depending on the situation, we really don't know that that's poverty. We really don't, because it's just
you're normal.
Exactly.
Right. We didn't know we were poor. Right. We had no idea.
You just kick it on the block. I was talking to somebody about that today. I was like, man, I ain't realized that. I just know we was on a block playing stickball, or we were playing football in the street. We just kicked, period.
I had no idea we were poor until about junior high school. We went to a different area. It was after the LA riots. My mom after that said, you know what? She was like, this is too much. We were down the street. I would watch the tanks come down the street. All the ash would fall out the sky. Like, I completely remember the riots. I was about 11, 12. After that, my mom, we were done. We were done with living in South Central. And I didn't know we were poor until we went to a different area. Now, we still lived in an apartment building, just in a better area, probably more rent. But I didn't know until I went to school with a more diverse community that I was like, oh, I don't have those shoes. I was like, oh, I don't have that. I didn't know, because everybody ate the same in my neighborhood. Everyone went to church on Sundays. Everybody had green grass. If you had grass, somebody had a car. People went to the store. It was my normal to see Black daily life, I guess, in poverty, but I didn't know I had no idea. And I've never been embarrassed of it. Like, I've never held my head low because, the beauty is I always had adults in my life who encouraged me to be my best always. Stay clean, have your manners, read and write. Reading and writing was preeminent in our house and praying. So I was like, I go into a ritzier area. I'm like, these kids don't have no morals. They can't do nothing. They're not clever. They're not funny. They haven't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. It was just.
It's a lot. And I mean, you have a couple of people in the audience agreeing with you about how people grew up. King Wise, he's saying, that's right, Coach Tony. I was told the same thing. And CM said exactly. And she's laughing. You got her laughing. Now, someone in the audience is wondering, because they were very happy. This is Bella. She wants to, wait a minute now. I love it. How do I purchase the book of the books?
Hey, Bella, I thank you for your short interest. So we're on Amazon. We're Amazon, or you can go to our website, www.mymotherisasuperhero.com, or Amazon. Either way, I'm gonna mail them either way. They come from me.
Either way it goes. And we need to give you a wonderful congratulations. I saw this, I believe, on your Instagram. The book received an honorable mention for the internet for 2023 International Latino Book Award.
Yes.
Latino.
Amazing.
I know, it's crazy.
She ain't got one Puerto Rican in this book.
They just could be dark skinned. They could be moreno. You don't know, no sabes.
Okay, mommy. Okay, poppy. We good.
You just said mom and dad. You're funny.
Part of being an author is that you have to enter book competitions to give you more credibility. I mean, you have to. Mm-hmm. And so this was one of the first groups that I found who would even accept my book. Sometimes there's tight restrictions, and sometimes they're very, very tight restrictions. And so I happened to make their cutoff and meet their registration regulations. So I sent off the book. They read it. If it were a Latino themed book, I probably would have won, first, second, or third, but we got honorable mention, and we get all the perks of being honorably mentioned. So I'm very excited.
So how many pages is looking at both of your books, give or take, CJ, how many pages is it?
So each book is 28 pages.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and so it's English and Spanish, and so it's 2 books in one. English and Spanish on each page. And it has vocabulary words, which are, so in one word will be in English in blue, and then it's in red on the other page so that you can see how the word would be said in Spanish. So
that's awesome, especially the way the country's going right now. That's a perfect mix.
Right. And so I'm really excited about this, CJ. Like this is major that if you want to find her, she is on Instagram, Amazon, there's TikTok. Hashtag my mother is a superhero. Like if you do that hashtag, you'll find CJ. You'll find her out here.
There you go.
Like, this is my book. Y'all check it out. Come
and
support.
Now she's on the Pull Up podcast show.
Wait. This is Interludes Extra. This is Interludes Extra.
I'm gonna sell her book on Monday nights too, Val. We're gonna double up like R. Kelly said. Double up.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say like who's that?
Wait, like, stop. Wait, stop. We ain't saying nothing like R. Kelly. I'm sorry. We have divorced.
Me like that. I'm talking about this.
Nah, brother. Now first you said my mama drinking in the parking lot. Now you counts. Oh, come on, man. Come on, bro. As my students say, come on, bro. What we doing?
We're gonna just sell these books. I'm gonna help you double up the sales on the books.
I appreciate it. Let's stop right there. I appreciate it.
We'll stop right there. And here's the thing: my mother is a superhero.com. That's how they can purchase the book. Thank you.
And what's the cost on each of the books right now, CJ?
Okay, so my mother's a superhero is $14.99. And then her teacher being a superhero is $16.99. So we have two different sizes on the book. So 8 by 10, and then an 8.5 by 5.
Both of them, as you say, both of them have got the English and the Spanish edition.
Yes. Here, I'll show you really fast if I got a second, Miss Val.
Of course you do.
We've got plenty of time for you.
Okay. So for example, you guys make me laugh. I'm trying to be serious.
It's all him. It ain't me now. It's all him.
Yeah, you guys are funny. Okay. So you probably can't tell. So this is her at school. So there's a word, you see, there's a word right here that's in blue in English. And then on the other page, you'll find that same vocabulary word here in red. You probably can't see because of the glare.
We can see it.
Yeah, we can see that.
And that's in Spanish. That's straight in Spanish?
Yes. So everything that's in English, sorry, my camera's off. Everything that's in English will also be in Spanish on the other side.
Oh man, that is nice.
Can you do, CJ? Can you do us a favor really quick? Because I love Spanish. I need to learn it. Read the page you're on in English and in Spanish, if you wouldn't mind for us.
Hold on, let me go back.
This is Justine. We're learning about Justine, Coach Tony. This is exciting.
All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me go back. I wasn't ready. All right, let me see. So it says during lunchtime. I'm trying to do how I do when I talk to the kids. During lunchtime, the teachers go into a strange place called the Teacher's Lounge. I'm not sure what happens there, but I always hear strange sounds. I can see a green laser beam when they open the door. I must find a way in. I must know more. Durante el almuerzo, los maestros van a un lugar extraño llamado Salón de Maestros. No estoy segura de lo que pasa allí, pero siempre escucho sonidos extraños. Puedo ver el rayo láser verde cuando abren la puerta. Debo encontrar la forma de entrar. Necesito saber más.
Yo, Mimi, CC, Papi, say CC.
That's not real Spanish. Coach, don't do that.
What's wrong with you?
I'm gonna need you to be my translator. I go around too many folks. I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna probably start calling you like, hey, look, CJ, look. I'm gonna need you to translate this for me.
I can't with you. I can't.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That is unique. You know why? Because I don't think that, and Val, I mean, I don't know about you. I don't think that I have seen a children's book that has got the exact same correlation of information via two different languages on the same page. And that is really nice. So you actually basically are saving people money. Because you could have printed one strictly in Spanish and Latino and one in English, but to do it that way is absolutely awesome. Because if I'm a teacher in class, like you just did, and obviously nowadays when you look at the kids, like my granddaughter's class, I think they're like 65 or 70% Hispanic,
Okay.
where she goes to school at. And, you know, you're looking at some of those kids looking at you upside down because they don't understand English. And to
Right.
be able to sit there with a teacher that can speak it in English and then come right back and say the same thing, they get an opportunity to enjoy the book at the same time. That is awesome.
You have to have inclusivity. That's also too why I wrote the books, right? Because there are not that many books on the shelf with beautiful characters of color. You might see characters on the shelves and dolls. When I was younger, the dolls were not cute. Most of them were not dolls that you want to be like, oh, I want this doll, right? They purposely make them unattractive so that you don't want them. I wanted to make sure that the characters were attractive, that the little girl was super cute, that, you know, that little girls could identify with her. But I wanted to make sure that I have books that all children can read, all of them. There's no reason why if I have a class of, you know, kids from 2 different countries that they both can't enjoy the same thing at the same time. That's not right. As you know, that's very polarizing to do to children, and it stigmatizes them. So I'm like, okay, I teach Spanish, so there's no reason. And I don't listen. We don't have no money for 2. These books cost a lot to print. Nobody got time to be printing double copies. Okay,
Right. Exactly.
printing is expensive in the United States. I have to go to China, but you gotta have one book. You gotta give the people one book. You can't. People always ask me, why did you do that? And I'm like, do you know how much stuff costs? You better put that in one book. And when I put it in French, I'm gonna put it out. It's gonna be like 9 languages on one page. Don't play with me. Like, we gotta.
Right. And the Chinese gonna get mad because they gonna be like, I did all the work. You didn't even print one in Chinese.
Oh my gosh, CJ, ladies and gentlemen, give her a round of applause. Oh my gosh,
Thanks,
I love it. Absolutely. You do the about 3 weeks ago on a yearly basis, Steph Curry and Aisha does a book reading thing in Oakland area, where they are, and they got the reports that about during the pandemics that in the inner city of Oakland, 69.5% of the kids were under the reading opportunity of where they should be in terms of the reading level. And he being an NBA player and Aisha, his wife, doing their community service, they started to do these things. This is when he thought about this book. And from 2017, 2018, 7 years ago to the day, the reading level because of the program he's instituted in Oakland has dropped from 69% of not being able to read down to slightly under 45%. So that's amazing. And he's gotten these kids involved. Obviously, most of the kids want to be there because it's Steph Curry, but you know, but to be there and do this at the same time is phenomenal.
I don't think people understand that. Children's literacy in the United States, it might be hovering around 60% of children are not literate. And these are in major areas. These are not in the Appalachians or down in the Deep South and the Delta. These are in major contemporary cities where they're supposed to have all this access to technology and whatever. Children cannot read. And this is crossing economic circles. This is crossing ethnicity. Doesn't matter if you're first generation American, you've been here for 20,000 years. It doesn't matter. People don't realize this is an American, this is an issue, an American issue. Literacy is a problem in the United States, along with people always talk about math and science. Yes, math and science is very important. But if you can't read the directions to understand your math and science, then what does it matter? So that's why there's so many authors right now who are pushing literacy. And we're hoping that various school districts are going to start inviting more authors to come out. Let us do workshops. Let us work with children in addition to the teachers. Because obviously I teach high school, but I'm also in the schools and elementary schools in the Los Angeles County working with kids to read, even if they're just reading my book or my workbooks or whatever I have to contribute. You know what I'm saying? Like, literacy is a huge issue that people are sleeping on in America, and they're going to figure it out in the next 0 to 5 years when you got these kids testing out of high school and you're like, but you're into the workforce and you can't read that. You get in the military, you can't read. People don't realize kids can't read right now.
Yeah, that's the big struggle to it. So what is your opinion, if that's the case? What is your opinion on AI? Because I know Val and I did a couple of things and messed around with it, and I got a project and I was like stunned. But what is your opinion on AI? Because now AI is in schools like Princeton and Yale and Harvard in terms of tests and things of that nature. And at your level, if you're seeing, because these kids are getting smarter every day because the telephones are getting smarter. So where do you see AI in this whole conglomerate of things in terms of the kids learning?
So I personally would disagree with that statement. I don't think that kids are getting smarter. I think that the technology is out advancing children, but children are not getting smarter. It's actually reversing. That is my opinion as a teacher.
Right.
I think that technology is fantastic. I think AI has its place, right? But the machine can't outsmart you. Technology only works if you have the cleverness and the ability and the comprehension to work the technology.
Correct.
Your brain is the first computer. And I tell my students all the time, you don't need Google Translate. So as a foreign language teacher, we've been fighting AI for many years. Ever since the kids found Google Translate, they think that speaks Spanish. You don't. AI is great, but so a lot of people write books using AI. If I'm a writer and I can't write the book, then I am not a writer. I'm a borrower. I am borrowing AI because AI is going to pull from all these different web services from Google. They're going to take everything and put my book together. I don't get to say I wrote this book. That's not mine. At our school, our teachers are fighting, the English teachers in particular, because the kids aren't writing the essays. They don't even write the paragraphs. They're using AI. And so we never can gauge what does a child really know independent of a computer. Wow. We're fighting it, right? It's a losing battle because if you take the cell phone, which has AI on it, we have iPads in the classroom that have AI on it, or you have Chromebooks that have AI on it. Or if you take all those away, they still have the watches that have AI on them. They can still type it in. And if for those parents who don't do that, we also have the Ray-Ban glasses, which are computers right now as well, which the kids, they can get a prescription and wear the glasses. So I personally am not a fan of AI. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I think AI is very dangerous. I think people are going to lose out on a lot of opportunities in America if we continue to rely on computers to think for ourselves and for our children. Thinking, it seems like it's a lost art. Sounding out letters seem like it's a lost art. Letters don't have values anymore because the kids don't have to read. The computer will read it for them. And then you just tell AI what you want to see and bam, it'll do that too. So I'm not a fan. I think it's neat. I played around with it too. It's cool. I think it's very cool. But we can read and write. And spell time. And write in cursive. So
and write in cursive at that point.
I don't need the computer to teach. I can teach without it. Whereas I have younger teachers, if the power goes out, they're like, what do we do? I'm like, just teach at the board. Like you get a marker. But they can't.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You are making literacy fun again for folks through your book. My mother is a superhero. Some of our listening audience is out in Los Angeles with you. I think I was looking on some of your social media flows and saw that you're going to be at the Grove. You're going to be doing another book signing and a book tour for the book.
I will. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm going to be at the Grove in Los Angeles at the Barnes & Noble. The Grove is the spot. I'll be in Barnes & Noble on the 6th on Saturday starting at 2 p.m. So I will be there signing books, reading both books, talking to folks and having a great time. And also, if you're in the LA area, we have the LA Times Festival of Books. I will be there as well for 2 days in April. I think it's the 20th and the 21st. We'll be there all day and all night. And
around my birthday, I need to make my way on out there. Then
we're either gonna fly you to the shower with me and Val for a weekend, or fly you to Nashville. You come on back up in here and do a book signing too. That's how we gonna do it.
I would love to. Definitely want to make myself get a little bit out of the West Coast for a little bit and introduce myself to some new families and some new audiences. So anytime, just let me know.
I'm proud of you. And speaking of introducing the new family, you are sitting there in Southern Cal, and my girl Juju Watkins over at USC on the basketball side of the house. If you don't know, you better know, because she's one of the hottest young athletes to hit Southern Cal since Cheryl Miller. You hear me? Since Cheryl Miller. So we're talking about, this is the first time that USC has been this deep in the NCAA tournaments since 1994.
Wow.
So, so you got to support your girls in that back door. Them Compton and Watts girls right there playing at Southern Cal. They'll be back on TV tomorrow night. I think it's either tomorrow or Thursday night. and in the women's NCAA tournament. And I got them. By the way, I have them going all the way to the Final Four.
All the way? All right, I'm gonna start watching then. If you're saying all the way, you backing her like that, I'm gonna watch out.
I'm backing her like that for promotional purposes. I'm backing her like that.
Just in case.
That's our March Madness, and of course, your predictions again for the women's side of things for the NCAA, if you wouldn't mind telling our audience.
Yeah, the women's side of the NCAA, I've got coming on the one side of the bracket. I've got obviously Dawn Staley. I don't think anyone's going to touch her. They're riding a 32-0 record right now, getting ready to hit Sweet 16. Wow. I think Dawn's got South Carolina rolling. On the opposite side of the bracket, I'm a big-time Caitlin Clark fan. I'm a Big Ten guy. So I think Iowa's going to roll in that bracket to come in. Stanford just survived the scare last night from Iowa State. They got past Iowa State in a nail biter. And I think that they're going to come up out of that bracket. And then, of course, as I just told CJ, I love USC and Juju Watkins. And I think that you will have – it hasn't happened before in, I want to say, 10 or 15 years. But in my opinion, this year, I don't see anyone able to take any of those 4 number 1 seeds down. So I think you're going to have 4 number 1 seeds in Detroit. I apologize. In Cleveland, Ohio, in 2 weeks, you'll have Stanford, South Carolina, USC, and Iowa.
Oh, 2 West Coast schools? Okay.
Yeah, that's exciting. And oh my gosh, if you guys are really impressed with how Coach makes sure letting everybody know how things are going to be happening with the NCAA, and I know there's a lot of games happening right now as we speak on both the men's and the women's side of things.
They better listen to me, Val.
It's okay. Please do me a favor and pull up on Monday nights. We got the Pull Up Podcast. We speak about it 1 quarter at a time on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. It is Coach Tony, and you're gonna have your whole thing laid out this coming Monday, right?
Hey, this Monday we're gonna lay it out like they said back in the day: laid, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. We're gonna lay it out. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna lay it out. Because we got to make sure that they're going to be able to put it where they need to put it, Val, and put it down. This is and if you had listened to me last weekend, by the way, CJ, on the women's side of the house, first round, I went 16 for 16 the first day, didn't lose a game, and went 14 for 16. I went 30 for 32 in the first round, first weekend.
Seriously. You predicting like that? You psychic? Okay, I see you.
I'm born. I wish I could predict the lottery like that, because it's $1 billion right now.
Hey, you need to go to Vegas to them odds. You need to be at the tables. Okay.
So I'm just saying, again, I think that you got now, and on the men's side of the house, I think it's, that is probably one of the best tournaments that we've seen so far in a long time. You're sitting at all number 1s and all number 2 seeds are still advancing to the Sweet 16 this weekend on the men's side. That haven't happened in over a decade. So, this year's college basketball, men and women, has been great, but the women have really been good because you got a situation in Dawn Staley who could potentially not lose a game and go 36 or 37-0. And then you got Caitlin Clark, who just broke the all-time scoring record to finish her college career out, possibly a champ.
Wow.
This is really exciting. Oh my gosh. Well, CJ, thank you so very much for joining us. And of course, the Pull Up Podcast show, that's going to be happening every Monday night. And he's back with an all brand new show this coming Monday. CJ, please come back and visit us when you're ready to go on tour, do the world tour outside of LA and outside of Cali. We'd love to have you back on and say hello to us. And if there's a 3rd edition of someone being a superhero, when the man becomes a superhero, come on back and see us. Right, Coach?
And like I told her, I'm going to be on the cartoon with her.
My man's in there. I got you. My man's in there.
You know, and that's gonna be the cool. You know, you walk down the street like, who is that? Oh, that's my man's in there.
I got you.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna wrap up. But we are going to see you coming back to us on next week. It is what Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. But join us, Coach. Did you want to still talk about the elephant in the room, or you still want to talk about it next week?
Yeah, we're gonna do that next week. We're gonna chill out.
We'll
I'm having too much fun. I'm having too much fun with CJ. We're gonna leave the elephant alone.
We're gonna leave the elephant alone. Oh my gosh. Well, on behalf of myself and Coach Tony, and of course, CJ, thank you so much for joining us. It is the Interludes Extra, and we're gonna be saying peace.
Peace.
Woohoo.